Chris Newman here, addressing the topic of the Treaty of Waitangi 1840. I am holding a copy of the 1975 Treaty of Waitangi Act, and also I have another thing here which is called the Interpretation Act, which helps us to understand the meaning of the words of legislation. So today's topic is going to be quite controversial. What or who is a Maori? Please understand, when I'm addressing this topic, I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of the legislation and historical evidence. This is not aimed at any person, any people, any individual. I'm looking for the truth based on logic, rhetoric and grammar. And if you take exception, I ask you to have a good hard think, because you might want to ask, what is a Pākehā? Or what is a Chinaman? Or what is a Japanese or an Indian, before you jump too far. So let's explore this issue. In 1840, when the treaty was signed, there was Queen Victoria, the chiefs and tribes, and all the people of New Zealand. And everybody knew who they were. Why? Because Queen Victoria was a lady who lived in England, and the chiefs and tribes were people of Polynesian descent who lived in these islands and who spoke a particular dialects of the Polynesian language. They called Maori now, but it was in those days, it was tribal, there were dialects. And of course, the people of New Zealand were settlers who had arrived here, and explorers and so on and so forth. Now, the Maori word, Maori just means common or regular folk, and Pākehā means a foreigner or an outsider, okay? That is the beginning of this discussion. Let's ask the first little question. In 1840, if there were already intermarriages and the children born of those relationships were from a brown father or brown mother and a white father or a white mother, they were interracial and also called half-caste. Caste just means a type of, you might call it a type of breed or a type of status. It doesn't mean anything, there's no pejoratives on it. In India they have a caste system. Caste is often used to describe status levels. So the people of New Zealand, anybody who was married and produced children who were of both mixed races, obviously were not from the chiefs and tribes. Those children were seen as people of New Zealand. They weren't directly involved in tribal life. They were moving from that stage into modernity. Now, the 200 years of intermarriage has brought what I would call fractional Maori, people who have different percentages of bloodline. Now, when the treaty came, we heard that the Christian principles of the Ten Commandments arrived on these shores, arrived among the people. Everybody who was raised under the chiefs and tribes had heard about the Ten Commandments. They knew that we were meant to honour our father and our mother. So if we have both bloodlines, my ancestors are English and Irish way, way back, I honour that. It doesn't worry me at all. I'm a people of New Zealand. But let's look now what happened in 1975, because something strange happened in the Parliament. The Parliament decided, in its wisdom, to define a Maori, and it says here, Maori means a person of the Maori race of New Zealand and includes any descendant of such a person. That may seem simple to you, a person just walking around. No, a person, according to the law, according to the rules of the Parliament and the statute, a person includes a corporation soul, a body corporate, and an unincorporated body. So this means that a person is a legal construct, a legal fiction. So a Maori, under the Treaty of Waitangi Act, a Maori is a person who's a legally constructed piece of paper, name on a piece of paper, of the Maori race of New Zealand, and includes any descendant of such a person. Here we have a contradiction in terms, because a person being a statutory name on a piece of paper cannot have descendants. It's not possible, because a people is what we think of when we think of the living, breathing and fog and mirror, you know, who moves around, who has many attributes of the living, all of the attributes of the living. That is a people. And now the treaty being about people, you see? That is the language of the treaty. It isn't person. Treaty is not person. It cannot be, because it's not a statute. So now we've got a problem, because we have people who think they are persons. And if they're persons, they're Maori. But a Maori person can't have children, because a person is not a living being. You see the problem here. The legal side of it starts to make things strange. So when we go even further into this, because we have to honour our father and our mother, we have two lines here. So the old idea here of the Whakapapa, the lineage, so Whakapapa, when you draw in the Maori system, the tribal system, the tikanga system, you draw your identity from your whakapapa, but if you have both father and mother, you are now a people of New Zealand. You're no longer just a Maori, and you're no longer just a Pākehā or something. You are now a people of New Zealand. That is the real circumstance. Everybody in these modern times are people of New Zealand. There are no distinct separate Maoris, because we've had 200 years of intermarriage. 200 years of intermarriage. And so I'll give you some statistics about very prominent people. For example, you might have heard of someone called Nanaia Mahuta. If you look at Nanaia Mahuta's family, she's got, her ancestry is 43% English, 38% Maori, 13% Cook Islander, and 6% Irish. Interesting, isn't it? What about a famous academic called Margaret Mutu? Everyone thought Margaret's a Maori, but she's got 38% Maori and 62% English ancestors. Now, this is information in my book, Fraud, Plunder, Treason and Our Treaty, available at newmanpress.com. And this data was derived from genealogical evidence that's in the public domain. Now, here's somebody who calls himself Indigenous, which is another complication on the term. Dr. Claire Charters, who wrote the Hei Puapua and makes money by proclaiming that she's a professional Indigenous Maori academic. Dr. Charters is about 13% Maori ancestry and 87% English ancestry. Is that fraudulent? If it's done for personal gain and to extract money and to claim status and power and position over others and to create racial division inside New Zealand, yes, I declare it's fraudulent and a crime, because it's a deceit. It is dishonouring your father and your mother, and that is repugnant to the Treaty of Waitangi, and it is not a term of the treaty. It is what it isn't. What it isn't. It is not that. So a Maori person is a legal construct. When we're talking about people, everybody's people of New Zealand. Just because you have tattoos or wear something around your neck or wear a fancy hat or go and sing songs, those are personal choices. That is not a matter of public life and claiming privileges from the rest of the people of New Zealand, many of whom have fathers and mothers who may be Maori, they may be Islander, they may be of all kinds of backgrounds. But providing they are the people of New Zealand, committed in loving this land, we are all now the people of New Zealand because of the treaty, not because of the government, not because of the statute, because when the government tries to talk about these things through statutes, they can only invent Maori persons. And then the persons become corporations to claim from the state, money, resources, power, privilege, all that sort of thing. So let's look at that. The Whakapapa, through 200 years of intermarriage, has produced fractional Maori. Fractional Maori are percentages. That is a summary of this topic. It demands deep thought before you react. Just think it through for yourself. You can go and research these matters and investigate, and then look for the logic and the foundation of truth in what you are discovering, and you will think you'll find your answers. Thank you, Chris Newman, exposing the hidden topic of who or what is a Maori.